Yesterday I was reading about California burning, and I see the pictures and read people's tweets and people seeing that fire everywhere. It's just like, this is horrible, this is hell. And it's like, and also I read about these thousands of birds starving to death and falling from the sky, starving, because the air is so dry that there is no insects, there's nothing to eat, and therefore they starve. There's thousands of birds falling, and you know, it's like at the beginning of the year the fires in Australia killed millions of animals and millions of acres of land. I mean, and this is caused by climate change. This is caused by pollution, this is caused by climate change, and we are responsible for climate change. And it's like yesterday, I was talking to a teenager and he was saying, well, the world is fucked up anyway, you know. And I was shocked. I mean, of course, he's a teenager, so some sort of nihilism is natural. But I mean, it's like, we can do something about it, and let's think about, I mean, what world do we want for our kids? It's like, I mean, the bees are disappearing, the Amazon is disappearing day after day, and especially now under this dictator and horrible man, Bolsonaro. So, I mean, these disasters, we think that, you know, oh, you know, the catastrophe is happening and we can't do anything about it, but we can do something about it. We absolutely can do something about it. And the first thing, so the problem is that the governments are not informing people on what we can do about it. The governments are not saying how the coronavirus started and why, and what does that mean, you know? It's like they're trying to build the vaccine, thinking that the vaccine is the solution for our problems, but the vaccine is not a solution for our problems. The problem is climate change, and what we are doing is just not, is destroying the planet. Our craving for meat is destroying the planet. This is the first thing that we should be doing. Like, stop eating meat. Or stop eating meat on a weekly basis. Just like, eat meat once a month. Reduce drastically your intake of meat. Why? Why is this? Why is meat related to climate change? Well, first of all, the Amazon is disappearing, and the trees are being cut off every single day. Hundreds, thousands of trees, I don't know the number, but it's like scary. Why? Because they need space to breed animals for meat production. Or they need a lot of space to build the food for animals. So that's the main reason, deforestation's main reason is the production of meat and the industrial production of meat. And I will read now something very interesting. Let me see, where is this? Okay. Industrial livestock farming has increased the possibility of contact between wildlife and livestock, exploding the risk of transmission of diseases originating from wild animals whose habitats are dramatically attacked by deforestation. So this is the cause of coronavirus, that's for sure. In 2004, the World Health Organization, the World Organization for Animal Health, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations reported increased demand for animal protein and the intensification of its industrial production as the main causes of the appearance of and spread of new unknown zoonotic diseases, that is, new diseases transmitted from animals to humans. And this is also the cause of climate change. The imposition of the industrial model of the intensive livestock farming linked to macro breeding was causing a global increase in antibiotic resistant infections, ruining small local farmers and promoting the growth of diseases transmitted through food of animal origin. Food of animal origin. So the food of animal origin not only is transmitting these zoonotic diseases, but also it's ruining the planet itself. And the two things are intimately connected. So climate change and the viruses, of course. So we can do something about it. And the first thing to do is stop eating meat, or eat only once a month, so reduce drastically, and eat only organic farm meat, organic products. Why? Because organic and kilometro zeros and so really how do you say that, like the producers are really close by, close to where you live. So recently I went at a certain point, after months and months of being mainly vegan but mostly vegetarian, I smelled meat, cooked meat, and I felt the craving for meat, the desire for meat. So I said, okay, I will eat meat, but how? So I went to I live in Switzerland, so I went to the supermarket, and I knew that there was organic meat. So I bought an organic entrecôte, a beef steak. And I went into their website, the website of the producer, and I saw the photographs, and I read that this was an organic farm producing a certain kind of Swiss cows and selling the meat, and the meat was produced in an organic way as well. So I bought it, and I was thinking while I was going home about the animal that had died for me to eat that piece of meat. For me and a lot of other people, of course, because one cow, you have a lot of people that can eat from that cow. So I brought it home, I cooked it, and when it was in front of me on my table, I had a sort of thought, like I thought about this animal, and it was a quite solemn moment, because it was a very powerful experience. I mean, I wasn't buying meat or eating meat for months. So it was like, okay, a moment of silence and thinking about this animal who died. So a life of an animal disappeared. This animal died so that I could eat this meat, And therefore, it was great that this was an extraordinary situation. Not ordinary, not daily, the consumption of daily consumption of meat is like you forget that this should be an extraordinary event, that an animal dies for you. As it used to be when at the beginning of times. The prehistorical men didn't eat meat every day. That wasn't possible. You had to hunt it in order to eat it. So that was an extraordinary experience, and I assure you the meat was sublime. And it was a sublime experience, but also very solemn and very serious, because an animal had died for me to eat that piece of meat. So that's something that could change. And in fact, it's a just much more beautiful and special experience to eat meat once a month, for instance. And when I talk about meat, I talk about ham, I talk about all these, like products that contain meat. And there's a lot of that. And also eating organic vegetables and organic products, organic food, yeah? And you don't need to buy a lot. You don't need to eat a lot. So if you stop eating like junk food, and buying junk food, you spend much less. And cook at home and it's like you can actually organize yourself in order not to throw away the food. And therefore it will be far more, you will spend less because you will be spoiling less food. So that's the second thing. Then of course, don't buy a new car. Just keep the one you have and use it as less as possible. But don't buy a new car, because buying a new car means that it's like damaging the planet, because more production of cars, Then don't buy a new phone if you don't really need it. If your phone is not broken, don't buy one. If your computer is not broken, or perhaps try to repair it. I repair my car. My car is 2004, 16 years. My car is still functioning great. And I take care of my car, and I repair it when it needs to be repaired. And I don't buy a new car. And I don't buy a new phone, or a new computer, or a new camera. Unless, then there's nothing to do about it, but if I can repair it, The same with clothes, of course. Anyway, there's another thing that you can do to save the planet, which has to do with your emotions and with your inner life. And this is to try to be honest with yourself, to be in touch with yourself and with your shit and with your shadow part, because the shadow, as Carl Gustav Jung says, should be integrated. The shadow should be expressed in some way, without hurting others if possible, expressed, acknowledged, studied, and always be conscious of your shadow, of your shit. Because if you are always conscious, you won't be judging others so harshly. You will be more empathic. If you're really in touch with your emotions and needs, you will be more empathic towards others. You will be more empathic towards others, towards yourself, and towards the world and towards the planet. Because you will be aware that you have all that shit inside you. And that you're not fantastic, The fact is that the shadow part must be integrated. And if it doesn't, if we don't integrate our shadow, if we think that our shadow does not exist, if we avoid totally our shadow, what happens then is that the shadow doesn't want to be avoided. The shadow needs expression. The shadow doesn't want to be hidden, ignored. So if we do ignore the shadow, if we do hide it, if we pretend that it doesn't exist, it will explode. It will explode and it will reign over the whole planet. And this is what's happening right now. The shadow, it reigns. It's like everywhere, yeah? When on earth could it be possible that a man like Donald Trump is elected to the government? It's like incredible. It's incredible. Well, the same as Berlusconi and Boris Johnson. I mean, It's like, how can you vote people who don't give a shit about you, you know? How can you vote people who don't give a shit about the planet, about you, about the citizens, you know, about the poor, about... It's like, how come? You know, it's like, I don't understand. It's because you've become stupid or what, you know? That you vote for people who don't give a shit about you, you know? It's like, how are they going to defend your needs, you know? And this happens because people become more stupid and stupid and stupid. And this is something that I will talk in my next video about social media and about the social dilemma. But of course we can do something. We can do a lot of things to save the planet. And the first is our shadow. Be honest, be real, man. Be free. Because if we are more free, we are more wild, and therefore we are more healthy, we're stronger, you know?